Look around. You can find cars like these on AutoTrader, like that car riding your tail. Or if you're tailgating right now, all those cars doubling as kitchens and living rooms are on AutoTrader too. Are you working out and listening to this ad at the same time? Well, multitasking pro, cars like the ones in the gym parking lot are for sale on AutoTrader. New cars, used cars, electric cars, maybe even flying cars. Okay, no flying cars, but as soon as they get invented, they'll be on AutoTrader. Just you wait. AutoTrader.
O'Reilly. Shop Superstart Premium, Extreme, or Platinum batteries at O'Reilly Auto Parts and get up to a $15 gift card after rebate. O-Reward members can also get a $5 reward with their battery purchase. For power, performance, and reliability, choose Superstart. Only at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Taxes was taxing. Now taxes is relaxing when you file for free.
I can file for free? TurboTax Free Edition. Roughly 37% of filers qualify. Simple Form 1040 returns only. See if you qualify at turbotax.com/free. I can file for free.
Now this is taxes. File for free with TurboTax Free Edition and get your maximum refund. No schedules except for earned income tax credit, child tax credit, and student loan interest. See if you qualify at turbotax.com/free.
200 gold medals up for grabs, the biggest ever swimming and track cycling programme in the history of the Commonwealth Games, and a record number of para events. I'm John.
And I'm Michael, and it may be slightly different from the past, but Glasgow 2026 and the Commonwealth Games next year will definitely be making its mark for the future.
Coming up, we'll hear more about the sporting plans in place from organisers and the athletes hoping to compete.
It's in Glasgow, it's a home game, so I'm really looking forward to it. We're really exciting.
Yeah, it's just a great thing for us to be part of with all the other sports as well.
It's amazing, it's the best feeling there is, and have that saltire on your back.
This is a special episode of the podcast with Glasgow 2026.
Swimming, cycling, parasport, 3x3 basketball and even bowls, all set to make Commonwealth Games history. Next summer's sport already sounds spectacular, and we haven't even mentioned the return of the famous Commonwealth Mile. It replaces the 1500 metres on the athletics track and was last run in the Games in 1966, and has the backing of World Athletics President and former miler himself, Seb Coe. Scotland's Laura Muir also happens to be the British mile record holder. Well, Glasgow 2026 Vice Chair Ian Reeves told Michael he can't wait.
I think you'll get value for money for your tickets, that's for sure. So lots of sports, as you say, still a very large medal event programme. The largest para medal event programme for any Commonwealth Games. So I think that's a real achievement considering we do have a smaller number of sports on there. And I think that's just testament to the value that we're placing in making sure this is generally a Games for all, fully inclusive. And as we always hear in the Commonwealth Games, the para-athletes love the fact this is a single event, fully integrated. They're all part of a single team. And the feedback we're getting from para-athletes who perhaps didn't expect to be in the Games because their event wasn't there and been pleasantly surprised by the fact it has been so positive. So that's great to see as well.
And when we talk about the para programme and the para events, I think Tollcross for the swimming and the Sir Chris Hoy Velodrome for the track cycling, they are both going to be pretty phenomenal in terms of the breadth and the amount of events that you're able to stage.
Yeah, indeed. I think both of those sports, both swimming and track cycling, again, have the largest number of medal events in Commonwealth Games history. So generally that's great to see. And as we said, huge amount of content for everybody watching.
Track and field, always a highlight of every multi-sport event. You've obviously got pretty much the full track and field programme, but you're going for the mile. Where's that idea come from?
Yeah, so the conversation on the mile started before Glasgow concept came along at all. It was actually a discussion between the CGF World Athletics and the Victorian OC when the Games were originally scheduled to be there. I think no surprise probably that led by the World Athletics president, as you know, a very well-known middle distance runner, Lord Cohen. He is a big advocate of the mile and big advocate of innovation as well, and trying to do something a bit different for the Commonwealth Games. So the mile's actually on a number of athletics events programmes now. It seems to be a growing distance again. but obviously got a huge history and link to the Commonwealth Games. So I think back for 1954, I think, was that famous race that Bannister was in. And then I think the last time it was held in the Commonwealth Games was 1966. So, it's great. It's great to see it back. I think it will generate a bit of interest. We also took some soundings from Scottish middle distance runners, of which we're blessed with some great ones at the moment. The Josh Kerrs, obviously Laura Muir, and a number of others. And the feedback's been really positive, really excited about competing in that. And I think their view was, well, this is great. It's a bit different, and hopefully it should, give a bit more spotlight to that event as well. So yeah, it'll be great to see that.
And when we talk obviously about integration and we talk about inclusiveness as well, the mixed 4x400 meter relay comes into the track and field, but there's no individual men's and women's 4x400. Is that just because the mixed event is maybe going to be a higher class event?
Yeah, I think obviously there's always balances as well in putting the event program together when you're weighing up the number of athletes, the quotas, etc. But I think as well, just back to the earlier point about inclusivity and innovation, that gives a balance. Obviously, both genders competing in a single race. It's always an interesting one, that, and can lead to some quite interesting gaps that are narrowed or expanded depending on the legs. So we're just hoping that, as I say, that just brings that little bit more interest again, but obviously gives both genders the ability to compete in it in a single race.
So you've unveiled the medals today, or the medal program at least. There's still a lot, obviously, to come between now and the Games. What's the next big announcement? What else are we to look forward to over the next few months?
Yeah, I mean, that's the interesting thing, isn't it? Because normally you get some gaps between these announcements when you're in a 4, 5, 6 or 7 year kind of planning period, but these are going to come quickly. So I would suggest looking out for something on Commonwealth Day, which I think is March the 10th this year. And also that's 500 days to go until our Games, coincidentally. So we'll use that definitely for an announcement. And then, of course, there's all the usual ones after that will come quickly, around obviously the announcement around the timetable for selling tickets, the opportunities to volunteer, a lot of the commercial stuff. So there's lots still to come. And I would say that kind of next 6 months or so we'll be busy with very regular Glasgow 2026 communications.
Well, watch this space. That is definitely what we would tell our listeners. Thanks very much, Ian, for your time.
Great. Thanks, Michael.
Glasgow 2026 Vice Chair Ian Reid confirming the biggest ever swimming and track cycling programme in the history of the Games. The Tollcross International Swimming Centre will play host to 56 medal events in total across both para and non-para competition. And the men's 800 metres freestyle and the women's 1500 metres free will be included for the very first time. Well, Team GB swimmer Katie Shanahan won 2 bronzes for Scotland in Birmingham last time and can't wait to compete at home next summer.
When it was Birmingham, I think coming out of that I did not expect at all to be even near the medals. So to come away with 2 bronze medals, it was really, really surreal, and I just couldn't really believe that I still got those. But then obviously leading on to that, I got selected for the Olympics and stuff. So I feel like from the Commonwealth Games I've kind of just been building my senior career, which has been good. I'm getting those experiences that I've wanted, and also just like racing the rest of the world, which is always good. And I think that'll be good coming into Commies for 2026, is kind of knowing now how those other girls race, especially like the Aussies and the Canadians, the big names. So it's been good. Most of Team Scotland will say that I think competing for Scotland is so much more special and exciting than Team GB. Obviously, nothing bad towards Team GB. It's just like so much more special compete for your home country, and it's even more special the fact that it's in Glasgow. It's a home game, so I'm really looking forward to it. It'll be really exciting. When the news kind of arose that it wasn't going to go ahead in Victoria, I think a lot of us were quite disappointed. Australia would have been absolutely amazing to go for a Commonwealth Games, but then I think it was probably even better when the news came out that Glasgow might have been on the cards for hosting. And then obviously when it was announced at the end of last year, I think it's just, there's definitely been a great atmosphere already, and I know from speaking to a lot of Scots already that they're looking forward to it. So just excitement all round, definitely.
Team Scotland swimmer Katie Shanahan.
Now, the Sir Chris Hoy Velodrome will see 26 medal events at Glasgow 2026, with the para-track cycling programme doubling in size from Birmingham 2022. 8 medals in total will be available, including the C1 to C3 class for the men and the C4, C5 class for the women time trials and individual pursuits for the very first time. Overall, there'll be a record number of para events across the 10 sports next summer. Paracyclist Callum Du Bois, who swapped Nordic skiing in the Paralympics for 2 wheels and the bike, believes it's the way forward for the Commonwealth Games.
So for me, I'm a C2 athlete. So the cycling classifications in our sport works as a C1 to C5. So C1 being the most impaired and C5 being the least impaired. So I'm a C2, so I've got a fairly high level of impairment. So I cycle my bike purely single leg. So I have an adaptation on the side of my bike, which is my prosthetic, that enables me to put more power through the bike and allows me to get on 2 wheels. So at the Commonwealth Games, I'll be competing in the individual pursuit and the kilo time trial, so 1,000 kilometres. For me, it's the first time my event has been included in the Commonwealth Games, so I think it's just a good opportunity for other disabled athletes to see the sport growing and the opportunities growing. I guess as para, we often lack opportunity through numbers or just kind of recognition, or I think it's just a really good event now to showcase to the world how important it is to integrate para sport into these multi-sport events.
And you've been a Winter Paralympian, so you know what the Paralympics brings. But wouldn't it be great with the Commonwealth Games moving forward? It needs to reinvent itself. That actually the mixed game, the integral games, the para sport can be part of the Commonwealth Games moving forward.
For me, I think the para side of the Commonwealth sport needs to be included. I feel that we earn it just as much as the able-bods, if you like, and I find a lot of our sport even more impressive than the able-bodied stuff, because we've got the added challenge of having a disability or an impairment, so we need to work twice as hard, if you like, and we want it twice as more, so having that integration is just amazing.
Callum Du Bois. Also making history will be indoor bowls in Glasgow, being played instead of lawn bowls for the very first time in the Commonwealth Games. And Scottish world champions Beth Reaver and Jason Banks can't wait.
It's the absolute pinnacle of our sport. It's the biggest event there is, and the reception that bowls gets every time that it's on the TV screens is phenomenal for our sport. So yeah, it's a huge deal for us.
I think it's probably always been something that I would like to do, at some point. It's been an ambition to be involved in the Commonwealth Games, but it's never really been anything that's been tangible probably until recent times, so it would just be amazing if I got the opportunity to compete. It will also be different having it indoors. It'll be different to what we've been used to previous years watching it on the grass outdoors, so yeah, it'll just be interesting to see what the format's like and who's competing and things.
Does the fact that it's moved to indoors, does that suit you more in terms of your potential selection?
It probably does after the last few weeks that I had indoors, but yeah, it's been quite a crazy few weeks for me at the bowls. Just managed to win the 3 world titles, so it's just I don't think it's really sunk in yet what I've achieved, but it just feels like a little bit like a dream.
Yeah, it's definitely different. I suppose the games will have a completely different feel to it. So yeah, it's difficult for me. I play indoor and outdoor, so there's not much between the two. I'm happy to play either. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens and how things work out. My uncle is a bowler. His name's Alec Marshall. He has played Commonwealth Games for, well, I don't want to say how long, quite a long time. I remember going to Glasgow 2014 and I was there pretty much every day watching him compete and watching him win 2 gold medals. and that was just the most amazing experience ever. And so yeah, getting to kind of live that now is quite something.
I remember seeing your uncle, I think it was a pairs final against England. and that really did bring the spotlight onto your sport and onto your game, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. That was a big moment. The tatty celebration. It was a phenomenal semi-final against England, and obviously, you're playing the old enemy on home turf. It's the biggest thing you want to play in, and it's the biggest match you want to win. So, it was amazing.
Beth Reaver and Jason Banks. Glasgow 2026 will also see the biggest 3x3 basketball competition to date. You'll remember I was a huge fan of it in Birmingham. Incredible atmosphere, incredible staging. Now, the number of teams for the men and women is up to 12, and the wheelchair basketball extending from 6 teams to 8.
Overall, there'll be around about 200 gold medals up for grabs. We are still a little unclear, though, of what categories will be taking place in the Commonwealth Games boxing tournament. This is, as we know, due to the ongoing challenges and issues without a recognised world federation. That is the reason why boxing at the Los Angeles Olympics in 2028 remains a little bit in limbo. Organisers and the Commonwealth Games Federation hope to get a steer soon on the way forward. Here is Ian Reid again.
It's well known that the International Federation for Boxing, there's challenges there, and there's been some guidance issued from an Olympic perspective on the sort of direction that's going. I mean, our view is that we will kind of follow that to resolution. The expectation and hope is that is resolved in the reasonably near future, and then we can firm that up. That's certainly all the indications we're getting and hoping will be the case. So it's a kind of, unfortunately, it's a little bit of a wait and see. And obviously we need an international federation to be able to deliver the event. So that's one that, as I say, we're keeping a close eye on, and hopefully will get resolved in the next few months.
And you're confident that boxing will still be very much a part of Glasgow 2026?
Yeah, I mean, we are. We can only control so much around the International Federation side, but it's such an important event, I think, for Commonwealth. For in particular around that inclusivity piece, we will have athletes from all kind of 6 of the continents that in the region, that compete in the Commonwealth Games represented. It's a very inclusive event. All nations tend to put forward boxers, so it's one we certainly want in there, which is why we are happy to wait and see how this is resolved to give it the best chance to be in the programme.
Fingers crossed that boxing will be there. Now, we're told the Scottish fans can't wait to get out and support these Commonwealth Games and fly the Saltire. So what will it be like to compete in front of them?
My name's Rachel Tytler. I am a Judo Scotland athlete, and I am looking forward to hopefully represent Scotland in the Glasgow 2026 Games. I am super, super excited. I remember back to 2014 and just being a kid in the stands and just in and around the city. There was just such a buzz. So I think with the Games being back in Glasgow, it's just going to be great all round.
My name's Jason Epton. I hope to be competing at the Glasgow 2026 Commonwealth Games in weightlifting. I remember fondly the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow 11 years ago now, and the buzz around the city was just incredible. Being here at the event today after the uncertainty if the Commonwealth Games were going to go ahead, and now the certainty of it and the anticipation going forward it's incredible. I can, within my sport personally, and I can see it within other sports, just the buzz around it, the fierceness of competition and everything else. It's amazing. I think next year's Games, whether I'm competing or not, is going to be something incredible to be a part of that environment as a competitor or a spectator.
I don't really know if there's a word to sum it up, really. There's just so much excitement around about it. Like I said, Glasgow 2014 was just amazing to be part of, whether you were just in and around the city or actually in any of the venues. So I think to actually be on the stage there doing your sport for your country would just be absolutely phenomenal.
Being able to represent Scotland at a Commonwealth Games is the pinnacle of any sport within Scotland.
Now, of course, it won't just be Team Scotland competing next summer. Over 70 nations and territories expected to descend on the city of Glasgow. And Glasgow 2026 and the Commonwealth Games is already promising to be a truly inclusive festival of sport.
This is a special edition of the podcast, and stay with us as we count down to the Games. And to find out much more on next year's Commonwealth Games, check out glasgow2026.com.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.